India's second largest bank now finds itself in the middle of a scam. The Punjab National Bank, which is a state-run bank, informed the Bombay Stock Exchange that fraudulent transactions worth more than $1,000 billion were carried out from the South Mumbai offices of the bank. Now, these transactions were to raise buyer's credit for companies owned by Indian billionaire diamond jeweller Nirav Modi, and were kept out of the bank records today. But Punjab National Bank held a press conference. Its managing director and CEO Sunil Mehta told the media today that the recovery process has been initiated and the accused Nirav Modi has written to the bank to discuss a repayment plan. But the company wants Nirav Modi to appear personally.
We detected in the third week of January, and we promptly investigated in the 3-4 days, and we have gone to the CBI on 29th.
On 29th of January?
29th of January. And the FIR was booked on 30th. That two of our employees, in connivance with the few of the group companies of the two group, have undertaken some unauthorized and fraudulent transactions. That is what is we have already reported to the, and rest of the details we can give you only after the investigation is complete. It will be decided based on the investigation. If the entire onus is ours, we will hold the responsibility. We are not going back from it. But nobody else can be a beneficiary of it. We are already in the mode of recovering, and we are trying to protect the financial interest of all the lenders. Repayment plan, he gave us a formal message and he said, okay, you come out with a plan. And so when was this? It was recently. They said, I want to come back and pay you the amount. I said, welcome. Because anybody, it's a funny problem. Yes. Not called. Not called. They mailed. They mailed and we said, you come back with the plan. I think information to SEBI was given in time. Another issue, involvement. I think you all will agree, you can't say anybody unless and until the investigation process is complete. But yes, we will not spare anybody, may it be junior or may it be senior. We will take them to the task. PNB is pursuing clean banking, responsive banking, and we will not shirk in our responsibility in putting all the customers or our staff to the task if we found any fraudulent or unethical practices are being performed in the bank.
India's Enforcement Directorate conducted searches at 9 properties of Nirav Modi across major cities of the country. But Nirav Modi is nowhere to be found. Nirav Modi reportedly was also under scanner of the Central Bureau of Investigation. The CBI says Nirav Modi left the country on January 1st, much before the first complaint or the financial irregularities were reached its doorstep. Joining me live on the program is our senior business correspondent, Sumit Chaturvedi. Sumit, Nirav Modi was allowed to borrow $1.77 billion from the bank without furbishing any collaterals. How did he get away with this, and how did the bank not notice this earlier?
Jessica, I would say that it's a systematic failure and not a failure of one person or a failure of one person in the bank. It's a systematic failure because it was going on since 2011, and if so much of money gets undetected and it goes to the account of somebody without any system checking it, it's the failure of bank as well as the person who is taking the money. Both of them are responsible for this. Now the big question is who's going to pay it back. Though unofficial sources are saying that Nirav Modi can come back and pay a certain part of this. So today also PNB CMD said that Nirav Modi has told them that they will come and give it back. He will come and give back some money, but officially he has not said what kind of money will he give back to the bank. Since then, until then, it will be be considered as a big fraud which has taken place since 2011 from the last 7 years. In fact,
absolutely
it's a big amount, of course, big amount, $1.7 billion, which is 1/3 of market capital of PNB.
Absolutely, Sumit. And we heard the MD of PNB Bank, Sunil Mehta, also talk about and take some scathing questions there. In fact, when asked about why no internal audits were conducted to find this particular loophole, it started in 2011 and we're in 2018. 25th Jan is when they saw it. How could they miss out something as crucial as this? Where were the entries? Didn't they not notice that there were entries and so much money was taken out of the banks?
Well, just to give an example, Jessica, demonetization, it happened in 2016. Then also the fingers were pointed at banks as to how banks were giving exchanges or the new notes to the people who were taking it. Even then, these loopholes were pointed at. So that's why it is right to say that it's a systematic failure. Internal audit committees are there in every bank. They should point out every year how the banks or loans are going worth thousands of crores of rupees without any collateral. That is the point of audit committees. That is the task of audit committees, that they have to match the collaterals against the loans given. Why did they allow it to happen for so many years and it came to light only yesterday? So it's not only a fault of one person, it's we can say that the even internal audit committees, they failed. So today in the conference, when the MD was asked about this, he said that he will look into the other issues as well. But yes, before reaching a conclusion, they have to look into all issues together as to how even internal audit committees failed to notice that this kind of fraud was happening. Somebody was taking hundreds and millions of rupees without giving proper collaterals, be it through LOUs or be it through any other advance payment facility. Or internal audit committee, it's their task to match the collaterals with the advances given. They did not do it properly as well. So PNB officials are also at fault here.
And that to the clerks, Sumit. That's important to point out. How could they let this happen? But help our viewers understand. Will this become another case of bad debt? Will the taxpayers' money go into refurbishing these banks, and eventually it's us who gets burdened at the end of the day? What are these banks doing? I mean, you're the second largest bank of the country. How could you let this happen again? And then again, are the citizens going to pay for this? Is this our duty? Is this what happens every time any person takes money from the country, leaves the country, flies away, and then we try for an extradition? Is this the process? Is this process going to become usual, or the banks are going to set up some regulations to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, that's a very pertinent question, Jessica. If you look at the structure of PNB, it's partly owned by, we can say that public, because it's a listed company. It's owned by government as well, and FIIs or foreign institutional investors, they also hold certain stake in that. So any loss that arises out of this fraud will go to public, will be suffered by bank and FIIs partially as well. Having said that, few months ago, when the bank recapitalization plan was announced, government decided to put in 1.5 lakh crore rupees into banks in India. Well, that's something which government shouldn't do, because if banks are treating public money in this manner, they should be answerable to someone. And if the whopping amount of 1.6 lakh crore was invested as a bank recap plan into banks, they should be answerable to government, to public, to everyone else. 11,000 crore would not be a big amount. If you look at the PNB's books, their overall revenue and profits also runs into thousands of crores of rupees. But if the system has to be made foolproof in such circumstances where the frauds go on for years and years without getting detected, and there's the responsibility of bank that comes into light, there's the responsibility of government that should be fulfilled, and responsibility of definitely auditors whose job is to audit the accounts of the bank or a company every year. Remember Satyam case, where auditors were hands in gloves with the Satyam owners, and they in a way fudged the revenue and profits for years and years together. There also the complacency in which the overall auditors, they helped promoters get away with so many things, that came into light. So auditors also are responsible in a way, because it's their job to match assets, liabilities and the collaterals every year of banks and all other institutions.
Absolutely, Sumit, but trying to understand what this scam, the whole fraud is all about, because Nirav Modi has now left the country as per certain sources. But what is the bank going to do? It's said that they're going to start a recovery process. Is that what's likely?
Oh, well, PNB MD today said that recovery process will start, and they will look into the whole matter, saying how much other banks are also liable to pay, or whether they should be paid or not. So it's a matter of time before they arrive at a conclusion. Having said that, Finance Ministry also today told banks that they should come with a proper report on this that should be submitted to them by the weekend.
Right, Sumit, and that is exactly what Sunil Mehta also said. But then again, a question here would be, are the banks going to run after Nirav Modi again? He's not in the country. Another process of extradition, another Vijay Mallya case where the banks would wait, just like the SBI was, the banks would wait for their money to get back, and eventually, and they said it wouldn't affect their existing customers. But how is that going to be even possible, given that such a big scam could take place in one of the biggest banks of the country?
Well, absolutely. Now, ED and CBI are putting pressure on the different authorities. In fact, Nirav Modi himself, and they're putting pressure on him wherever he is. I'm sure he's also under pressure. And going forward as well, he has a dual citizenship. That is also to be seen whether he has some kind of liability in the country where he has the other citizenship. So that's what, the big question, what is going to happen. CBI and ED are looking into the case, and I'm sure in due course of time, they will also properly look at the whole issue and come up with their own answers as far as this case is concerned.
Thank you so much, Chaturvedi, for joining us on the program and breaking it down for our viewers. What exactly is this, and what is it going to do, and how is it going to affect us in particular?